season, baby. The Dallas Cowboys are back. It's Christmas time. I'm full of holiday cheer. I am Fort Worth Star-Telegram sports columnist Mac Engel here in another episode of Dallas Cowboys Overtime on StarTelegram.com. And that puzzled look on my partner's face belongs to Mr. Clarence Chill Hill. Clarence,
I just want to make sure you're okay. You're
what's with the
okay?
outfit? What's with the outfit?
What outfit?
What are we wearing? Is that white on white crime?
It's just a white shirt. It's just a white shirt.
It's a white shirt.
I'm out of town. I'm at my dad's house. Got one of my dad's shirts on. I'm in the back room. Just trying to make it work. But I see you got plenty of coffee this morning.
I did. And unbelievably, I actually got more than 6 hours of sleep, which as I know you can relate to is a tremendous challenge the older you get. I couldn't believe it. I was like, holy cow, 6 hours. Imagine what I could do with 6.5. All right, Clarence, you got to go down to the Big Easy in New Orleans where you declined a free drink from Mr. Jerry Jones. Why?
Why is that so controversial?
Not controversial. Didn't say it was controversial. I'm just asking why. You ran into Jerry before the game on Bourbon Street.
It was before the game. I can't be drinking before the game. I can't be drinking before the game.
After the game.
After the game, and I've had a few drinks with Jerry before. It's not like, like it was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. He was having dinner with his family. I was actually on my way back to my room after visiting some friends on Bourbon Street and I declined drinks with my friends. I mean, I had frat brothers. Everybody, I'm not drinking. I'm trying to get to the game. And the thing about New Orleans, it's a lot of walking. I mean, you can wear yourself down. They added liquor to that. Had to walk to the stadium from the hotel. I didn't need any alcohol in my system. I need to be refreshed and ready to go for that thrilling game that we got.
That was a pretty bad game. The New Orleans Saints don't really have a quarterback. They have the sequel to Tim Tebow and Taysom Hill. The Dallas Cowboys beat them up pretty good. Offense didn't look necessarily great, but the defense forced 4 interceptions. Trayvon Diggs had another pick. And now the Dallas Cowboys are COVID-free, a healthy 8-4, and have 5 games remaining in the regular season before the playoffs, and only one of those teams that they will face has a winning record. They have the second of their 3-game road trip coming up this Sunday at a 500 Washington team. Clarence, are you feeling pretty good right now about the state of these COVID-free Cowboys?
And we should put COVID-free with an asterisk because, anything could come up. They're testing today, testing tomorrow.
Right.
As we've seen the last few weeks, nothing's a guarantee with COVID.
Subject to change.
Yeah, it's subject to change very quickly. Mike McCarthy felt good about himself, and then he was out for last week. So
right.
You don't know if they're completely COVID-free or just, let's say, for right now. But as far as the team is concerned, to me, it's not about the schedule. It's not about the players that are coming back. It's about how they're playing.
How do you think they're playing? Because I think they're pretty erratic.
I mean, this is not the well-oiled machine that we saw early in the season that we were declaring, had a really legitimate chance to go to the Super Bowl for the first time since 1995. I don't see that. So even if they navigate these games against the mediocre opponents, getting to the playoffs was never the goal. Getting to the playoffs and winning the East was never the goal. The goal, at least out of the Cowboys' own mouths, were to get to the Super Bowl. They felt they had this type of team. And right now, it doesn't look like they're that team. And so until they start playing well again, hitting on all cylinders again on offense, the confidence level is low that this can be a special season.
No, but I think the one thing that we can at least take some comfort in is that historically we are watching teams that kind of go up and down a little bit. And maybe the Cowboys went through a little bit of a down period. And I'm sorry, I got to disagree with you a little bit. The schedule matters a little bit because they should get fat coming up pretty quick.
No,
they've got some weak teams,
they should win. There's a difference between winning and getting fat.
What is it?
Because to me, getting fat is rolling like they were when they were on that 6-game winning streak. When they looked like a real contender, not just winning the game.
Jacket's driving me crazy. I can't get the collar right. How's that look? Why didn't you tell me this, Clarence? I can't get the collar right. And I'm speaking of fat. I'm too fat to get my hands back there and get this right. So I'm going to be uncomfortable the rest of the time.
You got Rudolph back there. You got a stocking back there. I mean, there's a lot going on in that picture. So I mean, I can't keep up with the dress as well. Your collar's still messed up, by the way.
I know I can't get back to it. So I have to deal with it. It looks like Don Johnson, circa 1988 Miami Vice. Okay, you brought this up in a hard-hitting column the other day that was quite good, and I agree with you. Ezekiel Elliott is not right. Now, I wrote that they should put him on the bench, that they can't. You went ahead to say that the Cowboys are clearly mismanaging this guy. Ezekiel Elliott, the last 4 games, has a total of 143 yards on the ground on 45 carries. That's terrible. Against the Saints, he only went for 45 yards on 13 carries. It's not his fault. It's not his fault. He's clearly favoring his right knee or his whole right leg. He's not the same guy. Clarence, they don't trust Tony Pollard in pass protection. So what other options exist for them right now?
And that's part of it. I suppose it's more about the protection. I know they want him on the field because they can go straight ahead. He's still the powerful running back in short yardage and certainly for pass protection. But again, you saw the other night. Number one, Zeke is not right. His best run was a 10-yard run, and he kind of went out of bounds. And it just you got to.
You need to answer that, Clarence. By the way, got that phone call.
I'm at my parents' house. They have loud house phones. I cannot do anything with the house phones.
All right, finish your thought on Zeke.
I'm sorry, I just cannot. Somebody's asked the other room, but I don't even own a house phone, and I thought my sister.
I know that tells you how old the house you're living in is. That it's a house phone.
Yes, I don't have a house phone. We can't ever control the house phone. But I mean, you saw him the 10-yard run. He just doesn't have any power to get around the edge. He can't plant. He can't cut. He can't jump cut anymore. The thing about it is whether you can trust Tony Pollard in the protection, you're doing Zeke a disservice because he can't get healthy. He needs rest. I don't think the injury is going to improve itself or be completely healed until after the season, but rest would help. And they kind of messed up the opportunity to rest him, when they lost to Oakland, lost to Denver, they could have put the season away, and they messed over that. But at this point, Tony Pollard is the better, more efficient back. You saw on that 58-yard run the other day. Yes, the running game as a whole was not going good for Zeke or Tony. But when a play is blocked well, only one guy can make a big play. Only one guy can take advantage of it, and that's Tony Pollard. Zeke cannot take advantage of the holes when they're there. Tony can.
So what? I mean, Clarence, they're not gonna go out and some guy off the street and just.
No, Adrian Peterson's already signed.
Yeah. Okay. So they're not going to do anything. The question is like, is it going to get? I'm going to ask you to play Dr. Chill here for a minute. If sitting him down for a week isn't going to do anything, they don't think, which clearly they don't. Is this going to get any worse? And let's say by the second week of January, assuming the Cowboys, they're going to get in the playoffs. And are we going to be looking at a guy who's just basically playing on one leg? He's not playing on one leg now. He's playing on 1.5. Are we going to be watching a guy who's just basically?
Well, what I was told that the injury can't get worse, but it could get better with rest, but it's not going to get worse.
Yeah, well, wait a minute. Do you believe that, Clarence, or do you believe that, or do you think they're lying to you?
No, I believe that. I don't think they would be trying to hurt him. I think that's why they're playing him, because they don't believe that it can get worse, But again, is it – first of all, his image is taking a hit because most people don't believe that. They're just saying he's a washed-up back. You paid him all this money. Why is he on the field? We started that at week 1, and so – yeah, anyway, and there are people that think that he's out there taking carries away from Tony, and that's not his call. He wants to be out there for his team, but he would rest. He's even said it, if they felt that was best for us, I would rest. They haven't approached him about resting.
I think if his image is taking a beating over this, then that's unfair because he's been a pro. He's played hard. He's by far and away their best. He's probably the best blocking running back in the league. Yeah. And that's one
of the toughest players on the team, for sure.
I agree with you. Now, has he been a prima donna? Has he behaved stupidly sometimes when he was younger? Absolutely. But that was a long time ago. And I got to tell you, as a pro, I don't fault him for this. To me, I'm looking at a guy who is now paying somewhat of a price for leading the league in touches the first 4+ years of his career. This was going to happen, and it's unfortunate it's happening now.
Well, I guess what I'm saying, what was going to happen, but he would be worn down. But this is an injury. He got hurt in the Carolina game. If you look at his numbers before the Carolina game and since the Carolina game, he was one of the league's leading rushers. He had 5 touchdowns in the first 4 or 5 games. I mean, that's a good trajectory of how the season was going for him. And the Cowboys had the number 1 rushing offense in the league. A lot had to do with the way Zeke was running the ball. And so he looked like he was really rejuvenating his career after a down season last year. He was averaging 5.3 yards a carry before the injury. Since the injury, he averaged like 3.3 yards a carry. And that had a lot to do with that 10-yard run at the end of the game last week. But again, so it's not like he was worn down. He is injured. He's hurt. He cannot do what he could do early in the season. He cannot jump cut. He can only run straight ahead. So that's the issue I have.
Yeah, and I can't really argue with you. And I can also understand that the quandary that the Cowboys and Kellen Moore all feel like they're in, which is if it's 3rd and 7, we can't have Tony Pollard back there picking up an edge rusher. We just can't afford it. And even though Tony Pollard showed a lot, the kickoff return against the Raiders, certainly the long run against the Saints, he's proven to be one of the fastest players in the NFL right now. I can see why they're trying to keep that balance the way they are, but it's unfair to Zeke. And
Right.
I know he's doing what he can, but I think it's unfair to Zeke.
And Tony should not, and Zeke still should not be getting more carries than Tony as he's done the last 3 weeks. He's still getting more carries than Tony. You can say what you want about the blocking and the pass protection, but he should not be getting more carries than Tony, and that's still happening. And the problem with him as protection, yes, he's a good protector, but when you need him as an outlet, he can't get any yards for you.
Nope, you're right. And as we look ahead against the Washington football team and that game on Sunday in D.C., it does look like the Cowboys will have what appears to be a full lineup for the first time before the season started. So what are you more excited about, Clarence? The fact that they're going to have CeeDee Lamb, Amari Cooper, Michael Gallup, Tyron Smith, a hobbled Zeke, Dak Prescott, Dalton Schultz, or are you more excited about a defense that's going to have a healthy Tank Lawrence, Randy Gregory's back, Neville Gallimore, who was supposed to be the starting defensive tackle before the season started when he suffered the injury in the preseason at Arizona, and then obviously what appears to be the second coming of Lawrence Taylor and Micah Parsons. What's got your juices flowing more, a healthy offense or a healthy defense?
Has to be the defense.
I totally agree with you.
Has to be the defense. Has to be, because Micah Parsons, you called him LT. Mike McCarthy last week compared it to Barry Sanders, the way he can wiggle in and out and make moves to get to the quarterback. But it has to be the defense because, let's be honest, the player I trust the most on this team right now is Micah Parsons.
Given the way Tank Lawrence played in his first game back, against the Saints, he was really good.
No, he was. He was. There's no question about that.
Really
I'm just saying that, but based on what we've seen with Micah Parsons, I'm more excited about watching Micah Parsons play. And then you add Tank and Randy to what Micah has done. That's what that's what gets you excited about watching this defense play.
Oh, I totally agree.
Washington.
And I got to tell you, watching Dak Prescott in this offense play the last few weeks, something is missing. Something is missing. I don't know if they're being defended any differently. I don't know if Dak Prescott is missing on some throws that previously he was hitting on, but something is just a little bit not right. Now, you can say, offensive line or this and that. It doesn't really matter. What matters is that the way they're playing and executing is different than the first 6 or so weeks of the regular season.
It's the running game is not there, so they don't have to start 3rd and shorts because the running game is not productive. Offensive line, Dak does not trust the offensive line. He's not staying with his reads. The receivers are not getting open. There are a number of things going on. Listen, I don't even know what to say, but the phone just rings.
Wait, the problem is, it's probably some spam call for your poor dad.
That's what it is.
I know.
That's what it is. It's these
Clarence is being a good son. He's helping take care of his dad in San Antonio, by the way. I agree with you. And my question about Micah Parsons is that with these other guys coming back, because Randy Gregory was having a nice season before he had that brief injury. Tank Lawrence looks like he's pretty fresh, obviously, because he hadn't played all season until he came back against the Saints. Any chance we could see Micah Parsons actually be better than what he had been? Or is he at a level set? Because to me, if you voted for him as obviously defensive rookie of the year, but defensive MVP, fine. I think those are both totally applicable. He's been just that good. But could you see him possibly be better with those other two guys coming back?
Well, you got some help. I mean, everybody likes help. The Calvary's coming, as Jerry like to say, and maybe take a play away from him. Maybe Randy take a play away from him. That's best for the defense. As Jerry likes to say, it lifts all boats. So he could be better, or they could be better around him. It's wonderful when they have to worry about somebody else other than you. And so. Yep. That's what you want. That's the kind of defense you want. You don't want to be a one-man show. You don't want to be Superman every play. Everybody needs a little help. So he could be better, but the bottom line is the defense is going to be better. The team is going to be better because of those guys. And that's something the Cowboys should be excited about over the last 5 games of the season, seeing those guys on the field and wreaking havoc on that defense.
Yeah, and I got to tell you, there's one other player we didn't mention in here. I really like the way J-Ron Kearse has emerged this season.
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
By far and away their best safety in about 10 years. So that's been pretty exciting as well. Okay, let's look ahead to Sunday's game in Washington, some predictions and some fantasy football assistance as well. Our track record with fantasy football has been kind of spotty, pretty good, but there's one particular player coming into this game that I like for production. And now I want to say this, because I called this. Washington is now 6-6. They made the playoffs last season, in part because the NFC East was just that bad. Their quarterback, Alex Smith, retired. He suffered some injuries last season, and his heroic comeback from devastating knee injury a couple years ago. Then they signed Ryan Fitzpatrick. Fitzpatrick suffers an injury in week 1. And then the guy that I liked, Taylor Heineke, comes in, and I swear to God, this guy looks like a Tony Romo starter kit. Guy out of Old Dominion, plays a little bit for the Texans, plays a little bit for the Panthers, gets a shot in Washington, and now all of a sudden he's 6-5 as a starter for WFT, or as I like to call him, WTF. And I think there's something there. He's a 68% passer. He's got 18 touchdowns. Now, he will give the ball away. He's got 11 interceptions, and he tries to gets a little too cute sometimes, kind of like Romo did early in his career. But this guy's a player and his favorite target. Now, but he wouldn't be my fantasy recommendation for this game. My fantasy recommendation, if you got to pick a guy, go with Terry McLaurin. He's the stat guy for Washington right now. He's not necessarily the second coming of AJ Green or DeAndre Hopkins or anything like that, but he's a stats guy. He's clearly Heineke's favorite receiver. Go with that guy if you're looking for money points from Washington. Clarence?
No, I agree. McLaurin is the guy. He's their go-to guy. He's their best player on that football team, at least on the offensive side of the football team. And so he's the guy, and certainly they're going to target Anthony Brown. They're going to target the Cowboys, for YOLO, pass interference penalties. So, that's a good pick. I'm going to go with Amari Cooper, healthy Amari Cooper. He certainly is going to hear some stuff this week from the media, and I think he's going to be motivated if you can get Amari motivated to have a big game.
Okay, last question, and before we wrap this episode of Cowboys Overtime up, Dallas Cowboys are 4-point favorites in Washington. 4-point favorites. And just a quick FYI, in case you don't already know this, the home team in a betting line gets 3 points regardless. So Washington technically is favored by 1 in this game. Again, they've won 4 straight. They're at home. They're a 4-point favorite right now against Dallas. I like the Cowboys. I don't like them to cover.
Cover, don't cover. They need to win. And I don't have a gambling opinion on this. I just know that the Cowboys have to win this game, because if they don't win this game, they play Washington again in 2 weeks. We could be looking at Washington taking over the Cowboys for the first place. If the Cowboys win this game and they beat the Giants next week, who are right now without a quarterback, the race is over.
Yeah, I think you're right. And I also think that Washington is a dangerous team because they're a confident team.
Yeah,
even though I don't
confident about playing against Dallas in Washington, although I think Dak Prescott is 7-1 against the Redskins in his career.
He's killed, absolutely. All right, Clarence, I want to make sure I get you my Christmas list in time so you can get everything I need. Wear a medium or a large, depending on what I've been eating lately. It's good seeing you again. Give your dad my best for Dallas Cowboys Overtime. He's Clarence Chill Hill. I'm Mac. We're back, baby. Engel. See you next week.